What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about LEVOLUTION and the dynamic world in Battlefield 2042 and everything that the developers have told us so far about those aspects of the game. Obviously, LEVOLUTION is such a massive part of the Battlefield franchise, and it may be actually the aspect of the game that stands out the most as being unique from pretty much any other shooter out there. And considering the scale of Battlefield 2042 and just the fact that DICE are obviously wanting to bounce back and get the franchise back to where it should be, you can expect the LEVOLUTION in this game to be absolutely unreal and definitely up there with some of the best that we've ever seen before in the Battlefield franchise. Obviously, the main thing that we've seen so far is the huge tornado that can appear on certain maps, and that is definitely stealing the limelight so far, as it probably should be. But there are many more forms of LEVOLUTION throughout this game that are going to look pretty spectacular as well, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. The devs mentioned multiple other types of LEVOLUTION or dynamic world aspects, such as regular destruction that we're used to in Battlefield, ground deformation. So for example, if a tank shoots the ground, it will create essentially a big divot where the shell hit, depending on the part of the map anyway. And then they also mentioned weather states as well, which definitely leads to the possibility of more types of weather than just a tornado ripping through the map. Now obviously we have already seen the sandstorm that rolls through on Hourglass and essentially takes over the map, and this is obviously another pretty huge event, but I do get the feeling that there could actually be just some regular weather states too. For example, sometimes the map could be sunny, sometimes it could be raining, or sometimes it could just be overcast, and while that is definitely not confirmed, it just seems like it could be that way due to what we've seen in some of the trailers. Looking at Orbital, for example, in the reveal trailer it was all sort of overcast and gloomy, while in the gameplay trailer it was actually really sunny and it borderline looked like a different map. Now the overcast look could just be what it looks like before the tornado comes in or something, so these weather types might just be directly linked to the tornado, which would be understandable, but I do hope that sometimes it can just literally be rainy on any given map without that having to guarantee that there's a tornado coming afterwards. It would be such a nice change of pace each game to sort of just have it sometimes sunny, sometimes raining, sometimes a tornado shows up and sometimes it doesn't. I think that would be the best way to do it, rather than, for example, every game on Kaleidoscope it starts out sunny, then it becomes overcast and it starts to rain, and then a tornado comes at the end. Now if they do it that way, that will still be pretty awesome anyway, because it still just beats the map looking and feeling exactly the same at the start and the end of every game, like in Call of Duty for example. So if it is somewhat on rails, then that's definitely not the end of the world, but ideally it would be pretty awesome to see it just be completely random, as that would make each match feel completely different from the last one. Now like I said, weather is definitely not the only form of LEVOLUTION in this game. There is the regular type of destruction that we're used to from previous titles, there is the ground deformation like I mentioned earlier, and there are also heaps of other events as well, or even just interactable aspects of the map that we can mess around with. Some of the larger events that you guys might have seen are the things like the rockets launching on Orbital, the ship door being opened up on Discarded, and then something else that we actually didn't see but that they told us about was some of the cranes on Manifest being automated to where they actually pick up some of the containers on the map and move them around. So there's going to be plenty of those like larger events that we're used to, similar to stuff like the skyscraper on Siege of Shanghai, where it's kind of like the main event of the match, if that makes sense. Those kind of jaw-dropping moments that everyone just kind of stops what they're doing to look at. They even mentioned with the rocket launch on Orbital that it can actually fail and that it will result in obviously a very different outcome. I assume if it is successful then it just takes off into space, however if it fails it could explode however many hundreds of meters up in the air and then just rain down debris all over the map. It could explode right as it's about to take off and maybe cause more damage to one specific area rather than the whole map. It's pretty hard to tell what that failed launch will be like, or if it is the same every time as well, but I'm definitely excited to experience that in game for the first time. Now the last thing I wanted to touch on is that there are so many other smaller types of LEVOLUTION or sort of interactive elements on the map as well. Stuff like raising and lowering bollards, using zip lines, opening and closing gates to lock down certain areas, and even raising and lowering bridges. And all of these are going to allow us to interact with the map in a way that we're definitely used to within the Battlefield franchise, which again just really differentiates this game from so many others out there. It's not the type of game where you spawn into the map, you play on the map and then you finish. It's going to be more of like an experience where you kind of play with the map rather than playing on it, and you can adapt and improvise as the game goes on and as the map changes over time. So there's definitely a lot to be excited about there, and like I said, I just cannot wait to get my hands on the game later this year. I really do think it is going to be something very, very special. But anyway guys, that is going to do it for this one. Let me know what LEVOLUTION event you are most excited for down in the comments section. I think the tornado is probably going to be everyone's favourite, but I'm also super keen to see that rocket launch for the first time and see what the failed launch looks like, as I think that is going to be absolutely crazy. If you enjoyed the video then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.